They are selling fake avocados in Texas.
These are not real bananas. We got it from the supermarket, but when she opens it and she breaks it in half, it gets very tough and doesn't really break.
My husband cut it in half. I really don't know if you can see it that well. Glistening, it's silicone. It's a silicone blueberry.
Fake ass fruit.
They trying to kill us, man. We gotta stop this, man. We gotta start growing our own fruit. This shit from Sam's Club.
Where do we draw the line to artificiality? Because I'm at a point where I thought in 2020 I was kind of over humanity, and I'm like, you know what, the way things are going, I don't really have too much faith. But the way things are continuing to go, it has me flabbergasted, because at what point are people going to stop being so curious to try to start producing things that is hurting us, or that is bound to hurt us because we have the proof of it? At what point do we say, like, all right, enough is enough? Because at this point I'm tired, and the people who got money, I'm gonna need them to go sit down because they're doing a lot. I'm pretty sure that we've all heard about the Tesla robots that Elon Musk is getting ready to launch. And these are robots that he claims will be a human's best friend. So basically, they're going to be in your house. And the idea of these robots are to make human life easier. And honestly, the way I look at it is robots are to help and assist humans in their everyday lives, completing basic human things like walking your dog, or pouring yourself a drink, or picking up your bag. And I mean it, like actually helping you pick up your bag to you as you're walking out to go to work. And it's just like, how lazy are people going to get? In my opinion, this is just next level lazy. And I'm not speaking to any disabled people, because I can see how it can be of assistance to have an extra hand in the house. But if I was disabled, baby, I don't want no robot helping me do anything. Like, and then they even went further to advertise that the robot can go walk your dog, or it can babysit your kid, or it can teach your kid. And I don't know who in their right mind is going to leave their child with a robot. A $30,000 device. Mind you, Tesla's cars are known for having recalls due to like malfunctions, but you think it's smart to leave your child with a robot? That just doesn't make sense to me. And honestly, I feel like that in itself is detrimental, because we already as a society are lacking human connection. A lot of children aren't having as much access to their parents, simply for the fact that the economy is so ridiculously crazy that parents are needing to work so much in order to support their families. So imagine a parent is already not as active with their child, and a lot of people are dealing with abandonment issues, or just feeling, like I said, a lack of connection, and you're going to now introduce a robot in the place of that. And I'm gonna get to that, because I don't feel like that's something that is just coincidental, because a lot of the things that happen within society, if you pay attention, they create problems and then try to offer you solutions. And unfortunately, in my opinion, a lot of parents are already struggling to properly pour into their children. So the fact that you're even offering a robot as a solution to replace that parental nurturing, to replace that parental guide, is beyond me, because there is no human to human connection. Imagine parents who are constantly busy. They're now going to have this idea of, you know what, the robot is going to be the nanny there to take on that extra parental role. But it's like, what a parent would provide for their child, a human parent at that, what they would be providing is nurturing, support, but like in a humanly connecting way. A robot cannot do that. And I feel like that is only gonna breed children who are not as like emotionally in tune, if it even gets that far. But that's just my prediction of what could come out of this situation, and I just really don't think it's a good thing. It's like robots raising kids. Kids are already naturally being programmed as they are getting older, so imagine programming a kid but with a robot. Like, I just don't see how that's beneficial to society in any way. Of course, for the elites, it may be beneficial to them because it's like, oh, you know, we can kind of mold society into the way that we want. Because who's to say when you got your robot teaching your kid how to do math homework that the robot not teaching the kid how to go, I don't know, go do some crazy stuff. And if you're going to leave your child unattended with the robot, which in my opinion is absolutely ridiculous, like you shouldn't even be a parent if you're willing to do that, you wouldn't really know what that robot is teaching your child. And if you're going to be present while that robot is teaching your child, you might as well just take that role of let me teach the child if you're going to be present. You get what I'm saying? So I just honestly think that in itself is a terrible idea, and I really hope that people don't take that route. And then my thing is, do people not understand that curiosity killed the cat? Like, have we not seen enough robot movies to know, like, maybe we shouldn't, you know, recreate that in modern day society because we have already seen possible outcomes of what could come from that?
What type of bullshit is this? Bro, Elon, please call off the project, man. Let's reset. Ball up top. Please don't do this. I don't know what more convincing I can do for y'all. The proof is literally right here in y'all's face. Please do not be that oblivious to it. And this is how the downfall of humanity starts. These robots right here that they say can do everything from cleaning up to playing with your kids to walking your dog, all this shit, right? It starts off right by them doing those simple things, right? And then it gets more advanced. Now they learn how to drive cars. Now guess what? Uber and Lyft drivers are out of a job. And then it gets more advanced as time goes on. Oh, they know how to fly planes now. Oh, they know how to drive speedboats. Oh, they can build a car from scratch. And then once they reach that final level of evolution to where they realize and understand that, wait a minute, I'm alive. The moment that these robots gain consciousness and start to develop human emotions, and they may realize that they were only put here to serve humans as their pawns and damn near be their slave, they're going to come to the conclusion that, wait a minute, why do I have to listen to you? I'm way more smarter than you. I'm way more advanced than you. Let's take over this shit. If iRobot didn't teach y'all a damn thing, go play the game Detroit Become Human. If you know, you know.
Yet people with money who are so bored and who want to play God, they are taking on that role of, oh, you know, let's try to create these things and bring them to life. Of course, they have their own agendas. And of course, I feel like when it comes to the movies and everything, if you guys don't understand, we do live in a matrix, and a lot of the things that we are seeing just on media, a lot of things that we are taught, it's all to program us, and they have an agenda. And like I always said in a previous video, whoever planned this entire matrix, this system, I'm not gonna lie, they're like evil geniuses. But honestly, like with society, we see the matrix glitching consistently, but they're trying so hard to keep it going. And it's like, people in society are going to go along with it just because it's like, wow, this is such a cool idea. But it's like, no, I don't want to die. Like, I don't understand. Like, do y'all not learn? Have you guys not learned from the movies? Because I have, and I know I don't want to be in a society with no damn robots. And then the craziest part is, there's this video where a guy is literally asking one of the Tesla robots what is one of its greatest challenges. And this is what the robot had to say.
What's the hardest thing about being a robot?
Trying to learn how to be as human as you guys are.
And it's just like, excuse me, do y'all not hear the responses that the robots are giving that are very similar to the movies? Because now when these robots decide that they don't want to be robots anymore and they really want to be humans, I don't want to be here to witness that. All I have to say is there are far too many movies out here that predict the possible, highly probable outcome to happen with having robots integrated into society. Yet we live in a world where people just want to experiment. And honestly, even when I think about my future, I'm afraid to bring kids into this world, because if it's not going to happen in my lifetime, it may happen in my children's lifetime. It may happen in my grandchildren's lifetime. I don't want them to go through that suffering. You get what I'm trying to say? I would love to witness myself create a family, but at the same time, I don't want to be selfish to have them go through all that craziness. So we shall see. And then another thing that really makes me feel so uncomfortable when it comes to seeing these videos with the robots, I cannot see the robot's face. If y'all don't know, the eyes are the windows to the soul, and the robot don't have no eyes. So let's think about it like this. Have you ever been talking to a person and they say one thing, but when you look at their facial expression, it expresses the complete opposite? That's how you know the person is not being genuine about what they're saying. With the robot, I cannot discern your emotions behind what you're saying because I cannot read any expression. The robot could literally be telling me I love you and whole time be plotting to kill me that same night. I can't read those expressions, which means I'm gonna get caught off guard, caught lacking, and I don't like that. Imagine while you're chilling on your couch playing the game and you got the robot behind you watering your plant. Imagine he decides to gain some feelings and crack this guy in the back of his head. You're gonna get caught lacking in your own house. Or imagine you decide to utilize the robot to its full potentials and now you are eliminating yourself 100% of the household chores.
Optimus is cool, but I'm not sure he's ready for my mess yet.
Because remember, the robots are smart, right? The robot is literally slaving in the house while you're sitting on the couch chilling. You don't think one day the robot gonna be like, this person is mad lazy and I'm doing everything, and they decide they're gonna hit you with the vacuum. Come on, y'all. Y'all don't think the robot is gonna eventually get tired? Y'all keep being curious and y'all gonna really find out.
I just want you to know.
But on a serious note, we do live in a world that is known for predictive programming, and I'll do a completely separate video on this to go into like a really deep dive. But we have seen Hollywood create countless movies where there's some disasters going on, or there's just specific topics that they're talking about, and then all of a sudden a couple years later, or sometimes even months later, you see that exact same thing playing out in real life, and it's just like, how did you guys know? There's shows like The Simpsons, The Boondocks, they predict a lot of what's going to happen in society. And that basically adds on to the point of we live in a matrix. And honestly, at this point, if you are still denying that that is the case, then I just believe that you are willingly choosing to be ignorant. I can't help the blind if you want to be blind, okay? And to be honest, when it comes to this whole agenda with trying to push the robots onto us, but in a way to make it seem like they are going to be like a friend to you, because we do live in a society where a lot of people are friendless. We see countless videos where people are always talking about, I don't have any friends and this and that. And I feel like when it comes to the whole pandemic, that was their opportunity to really drive in the Great Reset. And at that point was when everything really started to run digital. As we all may have experienced, a lot of people were isolated during the pandemic, which has also played into the whole friendless epidemic that is going on right now. And a part of me just feels like, knowing how devious this matrix is, I feel like it was all intentional, but also just like our phones and media has played a really big role in keeping people so divided. Again, they created a problem, so let's isolate the people, but now let's give you a solution and say, oh, you know, you can have this robot and it can do things for you. Selling that point to people who are already constantly talking about being burned out. So you see how it's like we create a problem, but now we're going to try to offer you a solution, but it's a terrible solution in my humble opinion. And like I said, when things hit the fan, I don't want to be here to witness it. So good luck to whoever decides to get a robot. If you do, you are a brave person, because as we've seen in the movies, when they get to a point where they start to become conscious and they feel like they are genuinely just better than humans and they want to be humans and take over humans, at that point is when the robots will start to envy humans. And if you know anything about envy and an envious person will kill you to take your spot because they want to be you. They don't want you to have what you have because they want to be in your spot. So the fact that y'all are even getting so comfortable with these robots is beyond me. And like I said, I will move if I have to and be in a completely robotless, media-less, technology-free society, because I don't want to deal with this. Technology has its benefits, but at some point you have to decide we're going a little too far ahead of ourselves. But now let's transition into talking about something that is actively, slowly killing society.
I hope y'all are paying attention to everything that they're finding listeria in now. Produce, silk milk, the deli meat. They're finding listeria in everything. I'm scared to go grocery shopping.
Produce sell. There is a major
shop at any of the
Costco, Trader
fresh cut vegetable products.
Hey TikTok.
This is obviously gonna
Huge and it kind of just seems like at this point, like we're all just going along with it for the sake of feeling helpless, to be honest. The government is literally attacking our food. And when I say attacking our food, I mean like we have gotten so far from natural as a society that it's honestly scary. When you think about it, food is something that has naturally just been growing from this earth. The things that we consume are naturally provided to us by God on this earth. But we have some people, again, with money who feel like they need to play the role of God. America is known for providing its citizens with foods that are not healthy for us. Whether it's things filled with so much sugar, which if you guys didn't know, sugar is addicting. Sugar is more addicting than some of the most addicting drugs out here, which is why a lot of people in America, y'all see everybody talking about these crumble cookies or just all the sugary stuff that people are consuming. America has a serious problem. And also fast foods that are not healthy for us. If you guys haven't seen the McDonald's videos where people are leaving the burgers and the fries out for like eternity and the burger is not deteriorating, or they're lighting cheese and it's not melting and it's just burning, the foods that we are eating is not good for us. And this is one of those things that's just like disheartening to talk about, because it's like we need food to survive. And the fact that we have gotten so far from the natural that we don't grow our own food, but instead we go and rely on supermarkets, which the government provides these foods to us. But it's just like, how are they creating these foods? What conditions are the foods being brought up in? What type of chemicals, pesticides, hormones, and just a whole bunch of additives that they're adding to our foods that we don't really get a say in, but instead we just have to consume it. And I don't think that's fair, because I've gotten to a point where honestly, like, I'm always back and forth between I'm gonna cut out meat, because if you guys haven't seen, they're also serving us lab grown meat, and they claim that certain states are selling it and that it's not completely on the market. But let's be honest, restaurants and stores are not going to tell us what's lab grown versus what's natural grown, because they know that people are going to steer clear of the lab grown stuff. So if you've never heard of lab grown meat, it's basically them taking the live cells within the meat that they're trying to clone. So basically they take these cells and they place them into giant steel containers known as bioreactors, where they feed the cells nutrients and allow them to mutate to produce the real meat. So in simple terms, they are cloning real meat into fake meat that looks and tastes exactly like the meat that they're trying to clone. And I just think that's crazy. Like, I don't want no meat that's growing out of a metal container. And I watched a video where they're interviewing a guy who's a part of one of the companies, I believe it's called Upside Farms. And it's almost like every time they ask him the question about people believing that it's fake meat, he's trying to negate the fact that it's not fake meat, that it's actually real meat, because it's coming from the cells of an actual animal.
Upside Foods CEO Uma Valetti explains.
Like I said, it's not a meat alternative. It's meat that's grown from real animal cells. So what we do is we take really high quality animal cells from, let's say, a cow or a pig or a chicken or a lobster, and we look for cells that can continue to grow outside the animal in a very robust and a healthy way.
And then tries to sell it off as, oh, well, you know, we're not killing any real animals to complete this process. But it's just like, I don't want meat that's growing out of no damn metal container. Like, that's nasty. Listen, if it's not naturally God made, I don't want it. And it's like, I know we eat things that are artificially made at times, which I try to avoid, but when it comes to meat, I'm not playing with that. And I've also been reached the point where I don't trust the labels that they are putting on the foods in the grocery stores, because they'll label something as no sugar, but when you go to the back, there's sugar in there, just in a different term. And it's just like, y'all playing tricks with the words, because why are you being deceptive? How do you label grapes organic but then you label it seedless? That's not possible. Growing up, I've always loved sour fruit. So when it came to green grapes and when it came to green apples, if it was in the house, I was eating it. I got to a point where when my mom would buy it, I'm like, this don't taste right. With the grapes, the skin is like so hard when you try to bite into it. It's giving plastic. And when it comes to green apples, the skin, it turns me off. Like, I've gotten to a point where honestly, when I buy fruits, it just does not taste like how it used to when I was younger, if I'm being completely honest. It tastes very like watered down. It just doesn't taste the way that it's supposed to. And I know some people will say like, oh, well, are you purchasing them within season? I have tried to do that and they all still taste like ill, because they are doing so much genetic modification to our foods that things just no longer taste natural. And to play devil's advocate, I understand why they would come up with a solution to try to keep up with the demands of trying to feed society. But my thing is, if you guys haven't been paying attention due to all the chemical usage and just them playing around with the food, have y'all not been paying attention to the amount of recalls that's been happening?
So if you,
At this point, like, when I say I'm fed up, I'm fed up. And one thing that I have noticed during the pandemic, Bill Gates and them little money people been buying up a lot of farmland. During the pandemic, they were forcing so many farmers to burn their crops and to kill livestock. And then all of a sudden now they're buying so much farmland, and now they're the face behind the foods that we're eating. Like, you can't tell me that there is not this agenda to kill us off, because at this point society is just going downhill, and I feel like humans are literally self-destructing. And mind you, it's the people with money that is trying to self-destruct the entire world. Why? I don't know, but you know, they probably got some skeletons in a closet. I'm honestly just over it, and I really do hope that, like, you know, they kind of tone it down with the curiosity. And you would think that humans would be empathetic towards other humans and not want to feed us things that are actually killing us. Like, there are so many research coming out about how the foods that we are eating is literally causing cancer and just a whole bunch of health issues. I have never in my life heard of so many women having PCOS. And another thing, when people in society are always talking about how the men are sassy and all of that, it's the hormones in our food. They are pumping our meat with so much hormone. Nothing is the same. Like, a lot of our fruits, a lot of our vegetables, a lot of our meat, like, chicken should not be shredding, watermelon should not be rubbery.
I cut watermelon for my kids, and they're all bringing it right back, saying they don't like the texture. And I've seen enough videos of people posting rubbery watermelon. I can't believe I got one. I got a rubbery.
Crack them in a separate bowl, because I just cracked one, and that's a motherfucking roundworm that just came out of that fucking egg.
But look at the texture. My finger makes an indent like a sponge, and then I did this.
Squeeze.
Squeeze. I squeezed it as hard as I could, and look, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Like, what are we gonna do as a society? Because like I said, I'm about ready to pack my stuff and move to a land where America is not at, and hope that they don't try to invade over there, because y'all know they good for doing that. And also, when it comes to the robots, there's a lot of talk behind just the whole idea of like AI taking over. In my opinion, I feel like it very much could be disembodied spirits operating these things, because y'all are trying to play God and create human-like beings that are not people. At what point do you not feel like those people, those robots, are going to decide they want to turn on society, because they're going to develop a mind of their own? And that is not a mind from God. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's just like, honestly, I don't understand why people keep playing with these robots. With the various topics that I have brought up within this video, I definitely do want to do a deep dive on some of them, just because I feel like it's really important for us to talk about, and I feel like we need to spread light and we need to shine light on these things, and we need to talk about it. And I feel like with social media, a lot of our concerns as a society has been talked about, but unfortunately the government is honestly just doing whatever they want to do, or like the government don't really care to hear what we have to say, which is kind of baffling to me. I just feel like we live in an upside down world. There are so many of us that we don't need to just follow them. But hey, I'm not trying to start a little revolution over here, even though I low-key wish we could come together as a society to do that. I think right now it's just important for people to wake up and actually acknowledge just the type of world that we live in and how they don't care about us. Like Michael Jackson said it best, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Okay, so anyways, I hope you like and subscribe, and definitely stay tuned because I have so much great content coming up, and we're gonna have a whole lot more discussions about just serious things, but also in a very informative way. And yeah, so thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you again.